Hello everybody and welcome back to Pravus Gaming and more Democracy 3 Presidential Suite, playing as Russia, restoring the Soviet Union if we can. Oh, and we're having one heck of a time of it, aren't we? In the last video we won the election by a landslide because, well, we kind of weren't letting people vote for anyone else, so we won by default. But hey, I still call that a win. Now we have to buckle down and actually try to make sure we fix some of Russia's problems. A terrible GDP is certainly not helping. Health and education could use a lot of lovin'. If I could just improve both of those, the GDP will be in a slightly better spot too. But very difficult to do things like that when you have a massive deficit. 28 billion rubles right now. Ugh. You know, if I was trying to be a bit more of a try-hard, right? If I was really trying that hard in this campaign, one of the first things I would have done in this campaign is actually reduce welfare spending and increase taxes to balance out the budget first. Then I would have worried about trying to move on towards socialism and communism. But hey, I got excited. I jumped the gun and now we have to deal with the aftermath. What's this? Kissing on rail and bus stations. Our Ministry of Transport has faced an unusual problem. Kissing congestion. Okay, yeah, what a problem to have. At rail and bus stations, couples and families greet or say farewell with hugs and kisses. This behavior blocks the path for busy commuters and increases the risks of accidents. The display of affection can also get out of hand and shock other commuters. How should we handle the issue? Oh boy. Okay, so if we don't solve this, people could die. Is that what you're trying to say? Well, of course we have to pass a law that bans public displays of affection, unless, of course, you want people to die! So you have to vote for me. Of course, that's how this works. This is politics, guys. It's what we do. So we can ban kissing on the stations. The point of public transport is that people share public space efficiently. Just as we would prohibit smoking, drinking, peddling, and begging in station areas, other annoying behavior should be regulated as well. People can hug and kiss as much as they want, just not in a spot where they trouble their fellow commuters. There will, of course, be kissing areas, more generous than the smoking areas we have today. Oh my god. Okay, so like smoking zones or on college campuses nowadays, free speech zones. Now we have kissing zones. Oh man, that's one heck of a place to hang out. Okay, or we could just allow it, you know. The idea is ridiculous, of course. You don't say. Display of affection is a beautiful thing, and we should expect people to use common sense to respect each other. If the platforms are too congested, build larger platforms. I think that public displays of affection are for the bourgeois, so we're going to ban them. Haha. Kind of ridiculous. Alright, so what are we going to try to do in this video? Well, I'm going to try to balance out the budget at least a little bit. I'm not sure how successful I'm going to be, but I'm going to try to make it a little bit better, because now we're down to almost like 600 billion rubles in debt, which is, well, it's a lot. If you didn't know, it is a lot of debt to take on. So we have to find some taxes, something that would work well for us. Now let's see. Internet tax is tempting, but that will reduce our technology, and I'm going to imagine our computer industries as well. Even though it doesn't exist, I want it to come back. Let's see. Mansion tax would certainly be an option. Junk food tax to improve health? Maybe. Internet currency? No. Automation? Could raise a surprising amount of money, but we actually want more industrial automation, believe it or not. Punitive wealth tax. Certainly an option. Tax on superstores. Problem with that is I know it affects the GDP. A punitive tax on superstores can reduce the GDP by, I think, like 6%. Something ridiculous, so I don't think this actually pays for itself. Meat tax won't get us much. Fraud agency. What's this? The fraud agency investigates internet crime, tax evasion, and black markets? Really? A way to directly attack those, huh? Okay. Okay. Would be a little expensive, but certainly an option. The gun tax, 3.46. What about the mail tax, as was proposed? I believe it was in Austria for a time, because women were complaining that men refused to get married. Also, of course, the gender pay gap, right? Of course, the wage gap thing. Yes, men are enjoying their privileged status, and we have to tax them in order to even the playing field. That is in the game. I've seen several incredulous comments saying, oh my god, is that a mail tax? Yep. Yes, there is. There is absolutely a mail tax. Needless to say, it is a controversial idea, though. AI administration. This is new. What is this? As computer systems become more advanced, they can support and replace some government functions such as tax inspection, welfare distribution, education, and monitoring of public health. Benefits scale with increased technology. Ooh, we've had problems with really high technology in the past, but This seems to imply that if you want to go down a more robotic route, there's some serious benefits to be had. It's vulnerable to cyber warfare, though, which obviously could be an issue for me, but still, it's a thought. We might come back to this. Financial transactions tax would get me a little bit of money, but would also probably reduce our financial market, which is still very fledgling in Russia right now. Mineral tax. Socialists regard ores, oil, and other mineral resources as national property and want the government to nationalize them, or at least tax the exploitation. This could work for us because I know with the massive investments we are currently making in the state investments in industry, that should be greatly increasing our processes industry sector. So taxing it and reducing it down a little bit to get some of that money back would not be such a bad thing. We may do this one. Tax credits, tempting for health, but not right now. High bracket income tax makes a lot of sense. However, here's the problem. I'm pretty darn sure with the number of taxes we currently have, if I do much more in the way of high bracket income taxes or mansion taxes or anything like that, we will get a brain drain effect, which I think will lead to approximately a 10 to 20% GDP reduction or something ridiculous as it gets to maxed out. It's probably very high as it is. If we make it much worse, I pretty much guarantee our GDP will never recover. So I think we have to do something different for the time being, at least until we get in a better spot. What about the mineral tax? Let's do this one. Okay, so it does reduce our process industry by a fair bit. Right now, about 20%. So if I made it a flat, let's say 40% and got 5 billion rubles, that would help a little bit. It reduces the oil supply, which is interesting, because presumably by taxing it, it's actually making it a little bit too expensive to extract it from the earth and maintain a good profit margin. Believe it or not, a lot of oil companies, I know we like to talk about oil companies and how evil they all are. Believe it or not, a lot of them don't make a ton of profit per gallon of gasoline that they refine. It honestly has a lot to do with volume sold. Still, in this case, reducing oil supply, that probably increases gas prices, which reduces car usage, and I know that traffic congestion is reducing the GDP, so in a way this could be sort of helpful. Reducing the process industry is bad, however, I'm pretty confident that our state investments are going to end up making this better. So let's go for a 40% tax on minerals. We're gonna have to make up that money somewhere. Actually, doing a gasoline tax would make a lot of sense too. But that takes 36 capital, which I don't really have at the moment. You know, let's try out that AI administration. I just brought in like 5 billion rubles. Let's spend a little bit of that and try doing an AI administration system. So, by merely existing and doing absolutely nothing, the old people get upset that it exists. Well, that makes sense. Crotchety old people don't like their technology, even if it's doing absolutely nothing. It's funny. Alright, so if we raise it up though, state employees don't like it, probably because it's putting them out of a job. But education and health goes up, teacher shortage goes down, unemployment goes up. That's interesting. Industrial automation goes up, and poverty goes down? Wow, this is interesting. If you want industrial automation and you're willing to increase your unemployment, this is actually really quite good. Now, it does reduce state employee membership quite a bit, which makes me sad, because ultimately I'd like to have everyone working for the government, but this could be pretty good. And I have been told that industrial automation is actually going to be really, really good for us, in part because, well, it greatly could increase our productivity. Now, granted, there are apparently some new events that can fire in this industrial automation, in this mod pack, or maybe it's actually in the base game and I've never experienced it before, but things like robot uprisings and stuff, so we do have to be kind of careful about that. In the meantime, though, this is an option to try and greatly increase productivity. It does increase unemployment, but considering we're still having a labor shortage, that may not be quite so bad. And I suppose what we could do, if we had to, is reduce work visas once the labor shortage is gone. If we have unemployment issues, we could just start reducing the visas. That's a very cheap way to try and manipulate this. Yeah, that would certainly be an option for us. I definitely need to get rid of the skill shortage, though. Maybe we want to do that next turn. Let's go ahead and move on. Uh-oh, the capitalists want me dead. Well, that's a good sign. Hey, we have a new industry! The aerospace industry is here. Awesome, and health is going up. Education ought to be too, but okay. Still have a pretty bad deficit, though. 23 billion. This GDP needs to improve, and I'm not sure the best ways to do it because this game, this mod pack, has changed the GDP so much, I'm just not sure what to do about it. In the past, even if I were going socialist, I'd do something like small business grants or the enterprise investment scheme or something as a GDP booster, right? I've even got some notes somewhere. Let's see. What's a good GDP booster? I mean, you could do things like prostitution and gambling and stuff like that, tax shelters, blah, blah, blah. It even used to be that, what was it? Stem cell research used to boost the GDP as well. Nowadays, though, you have things like the rural development grants, foreign investor tax breaks, adult education subsidies, tech colleges, science funding, tech grants, various forms of childcare and stuff like that. Those all used to be very good GDP boosters, and it seems like none of them do that anymore. So improving the GDP is, I'm finding, incredibly challenging. And a lot of that also has to do with the stupid unemployment rate being so gosh dang finicky. Very difficult to keep that unemployment at a very reasonable and level, consistent level, I should say. Very difficult to do that. All right, well, we do need to get rid of the skill shortage. That's certainly not helping. It is reducing the GDP. It's also hurting our financial sector and stuff like that. It's also creating more teacher shortages and reducing our technology. Now, it is going down a little bit on its own with the tech colleges. I'm just not sure it's going to be enough as is. So what we probably want to do then is do some university grants. Now, I don't think we can afford to do full generous grants, right? This would actually make the teacher shortage worse because more people will be going to college, which means more teachers are in demand and there aren't enough to go around already. So that wouldn't be good, but it does greatly reduce the skill shortage. I don't think we can afford all of this, and I don't think we need to reduce it this much anyway. If we just do grants for poor students, this reduces our skill shortage by about 14%. We actually could just do fees paid as well, and that also would be good enough, I think. So maybe we just want to do that. Now, I hate to lose out on the education, though. Education could be very important for me right now. So you know what? Let's do grants for poor students. It's going to cost me 2.3 billion rubles, but I think it's going to be the best that we can do right now. Foreign subversion is going to have to go down eventually. That may never actually go away. We'll find out. Maybe it will. So I don't like the fact that people are trying to kill me right now. What can we do to try and improve? Oh, God, the Battenberg group. That's a problem. The capitalists really want me dead. Oh, boy. Okay, well, what can we do? We could improve our armed police, detention without trial, ID cards, curfews, intelligence, wiretapping, tasers, police drones, mandatory microchip implant. That sounds dystopian and fun. Emergency curfews, gun taxes. Really? I guess just by reducing gun ownership by making them more expensive. Police weapons, street judges, encryption law, national palace. That sounds expensive, but fun. Outreach against extremism, undercover agents, handgun laws. Let's try doing something, let's do the police drones. I think this also reduces traffic accidents because we have people actually monitoring the roadways a little bit. You know those signs that you see in the United States as you're driving down the highway and it's like speed limit enforced by aircraft? Yeah, that, I think, is basically what we're doing here. Although, personally, I've always envisioned in my head, every time I've seen one of those drones, I've wanted to draw a comic that shows a smoldering crater in the middle of a highway with an F-16 flying off in the distance. I just always thought that'd be hilarious, but oh well. Let's spend some of that money. Yeah, liberals don't like it, don't care. It also does reduce crime and improves our aerospace industry. Now, that's interesting. Good to know, I wasn't aware that was a thing. So the aerospace industry is directly improving our GDP. The stronger this gets, probably the better. It also improves foreign relations and Patriot membership. Okay. Process industry is improving GDP. It went down a lot because of the mineral tax, but the state industrial investment has a long way to go. So it should even out a fair bit. Okay. So that definitely hurt our GDP in favor of some early taxes, but that's what you get. Financial services also is increasing GDP, but it's also creating capitalists, which I don't really like. That said, it's also giving me a tiny bit of productivity. So, yeah, we probably want to keep a financial sector. I mean, at the end of the day, a good, strong financial sector is pretty key for a first-world country. Not that we're a first-world country right now, but that's what we're going for. Street races. Some rogue motorists use our highways for illegal street races. How dare they? Hooligans. These events are noisy and risky, and road workers' unions demand that we send out the police before people are killed. We can let them be and not upset the motorists. Pfft. Yeah, right, we're cracking down on the races. We have already got plenty of traffic accidents which are causing a lot of issues. People are literally dying. So unless you want people to die, we have to enforce these laws. Oh man, I'm only bringing this up because I actually saw a video about this kind of recently. As some, I think one of my friends is hardcore libertarian, like really hardcore libertarian, and he posts stuff on Facebook about this all the time. And right now, in the United States, as there's a raging debate over healthcare and the GOP attempt at, they say repealing Obamacare, though it really doesn't. It changes a couple aspects and then keeps huge portions of the law. So it's not really a repeal, but whatever. That's what they're trying to market it as. But anyway, you hear people like Elizabeth Warren and Nancy Pelosi talking about how thousands of people will die because of the Republicans. And they're like, the Libertarians were passing videos that are like, we have to reduce the speed limits of these roads down to 10 miles per hour. Unless, of course, you want people to die. And stuff like that. So, I don't know. I just thought it was funny. Not that I think the Libertarians are happy with the GOP healthcare plan either. I'm just saying I thought it was a funny retort because it's kind of politics as usual, you know? Oh, I don't know. Something will change, therefore people will die. You can't vote for them. Yeah, I don't know. It's a little bit more nuanced than that, but I appreciate the effort. GDP is going down. What? Also a failed assassination attempt. Why? It's still the gosh dang productivity. The productivity is awful. I know the state industrial investment is supposed to improve it, but it is taking a long dang time, and in the meantime, it's costing me a ton of money. One thing we could do if we wanted to try and improve our productivity is really focus on this industrial automation. We could do that. Should we do it? Probably. What if we did some expensive robotic research grants? That could work. It could. Now, it costs 4 billion rubles, and I don't have a lot of money to work with. But if we max this out, that increases industrial automation by about 27%, over the next 16 turns. It also improves our technology, which I think scales our AI administration to be a little bit more effective as well. Could do this, probably should do this. Let's try it. I know that I saw some comments talking about that industrial automation was ultimately key. So let's give it a shot. But the problem is, it's going to cost me a lot of money. I actually just had a thought. I bet you this works. Okay, hang on. So, we're about to increase our industrial automation, right? It's going to cost us about 4 billion, but it's going to increase our industrial automation by 27%. What if, on top of that, we then, after spending government money to try and encourage people to get more industrial automation, we then pass an automation tax. And as it goes up, we get more money out of it, and we pay for the investments by taxing the very thing that we're helping to create. That may sound stupid, it may sound incredibly nonsensical, and it is because it will reduce our industrial automation, but if I do this and try to raise the same amount of money, 4.3%, okay, so our technology will end up staying the same, industrial automation here only goes down by 9%. That means we're going to have a total of 18% industrial automation increased for free and nothing else changes. That's kind of silly, right? Little bit? Little bit? It'll be free, but we'll get 18% more industrial automation over the next few years. That's all we're doing by doing this. That's kind of funny. All right, let's do that. There we go. Industrial automation will at first go down because of the immediate effects of the tax, but over time, I think we will see it going up to about here. That's not so bad. Okay. That said, we also have huge deficit issues, and if we don't find a way to deal with that, we're doomed. I need a new tax. I really do. What about the payroll tax? So I know that this is a little controversial because it artificially increases wages but greatly reduces earnings over the long term. However, it's also an opportunity to make a crap ton of money, which we desperately need. Yeah, I think this is going to be good. It actually reduces private schools, which is interesting. So yeah, their earnings overall goes down, but wages goes up. A payroll tax is collected from the employers on top of salaries, usually to fund welfare spending. In contrast to an income tax, it is not withdrawn from workers' paychecks. However, it increases labor costs as well as holding workers' income back in the long run. Yeah, so the capitalists and self-employed will be unhappy, but they don't exist and or already hate me. Wages going up is not necessarily a good thing because I think it actually reduces productivity. Earnings going down, definitely bad. However, currency strength goes up, and we can get a ton of money. We need this money. Pass it. We're going to pass it. This should get rid of the deficit entirely, I hope. I think. It might. We'll give it a shot. If we don't stymie off this debt at some point, we're dead, guys. We can't have a debt crisis. That will spiral out of control. Oh, good. The liberals want me dead. Well, the labor shortage is gone, so that's good. Hopefully the GDP ends up going up pretty soon, and the credit rating has been downgraded to a AA. Yick. That sucks, but we do have a small surplus of 5 billion rubles. Okay, what if we compounded upon that by increasing our petrol tax now that we have enough political capital? We could do that. A 42% petrol tax is what I have found to be the optimal tax rate in this game. Minimal impact on the GDP because it is an exponential curve. You can see kind of here is where it kind of goes crazy. 42% is about as high as you can get before you start having actual major impacts. And also, you shouldn't have any protests, like gasoline price protests, which still can happen depending on your oil supply and the actual price of gasoline, but even so. Yeah, that's not so bad. It also greatly reduces car usage, which I consider a double win for us right now, because, so this is going to be like an extra 14 billion rubles right here. One of the reasons that matters is because car usage is so high that it greatly increases our road accidents and our traffic congestion, which reduces our GDP by right now 10% because we're maxed out on traffic congestion. Frankly, if we want to improve the GDP, one thing we should really do is be investing in fixing the road accidents, and also expanding roads and encouraging alternative forms of transportation. Something we could do, in fact, to that extent, is pass the Telecommuting Initiative right now. Greatly reduces car usage again, parents love it, trade unions like it, obesity goes up, which is not so good, but commuter membership also goes down. So just in general, less people are going to travel to work, which should save us a bit on the car usage, and if we can get that to go down, that will translate into a direct GDP increase. Still, we really need to fix this gosh dang GDP, and you can see that the oil prices are not helping, traffic congestion is a big drag, immigration a little bit, global economy is in a recession right now. It's really all about that productivity, and I'm very much hoping that between the industrial automation that we're increasing and the state industrial investment, that this starts going up to reasonable levels, but it's taking a long dang time. Reducing the income tax would reduce some money, but also would certainly help. Asthma epidemic is not helping, local government labor shortage should be going away, so this should not be a thing much longer. Taxes, alcohol consumption, that's a problem. We could try to reduce alcohol consumption in the future, and that would help. That actually could help quite a bit. Something we may want to consider, but as far as productivity, the other things are unemployment. Unemployment's going up. If it gets too high, what I'll do is I'll spend government money on the planned economy. I'm not eager to do that right now because we don't get a lot of benefit out of it aside from eliminating unemployment again. Of course, we have to do it for this playthrough, that's inevitable. It's gonna have to happen, but right now, it costs a lot of money for no major benefit, as opposed to, right, the state industrial investment, which does give us some huge bonuses in the form of productivity and so on. So, yeah, that's something we'll have to do eventually. We'll keep an eye on that unemployment, and if it ever becomes too much of a drag on the GDP, then I'll switch to a planned economy, and hopefully that fixes that problem. Otherwise, fixing up health and education hopefully will help things along. And yeah, productivity is just rough, man. It is rough. This mod pack is tough. I'm having a hard time keeping track of all the different parts of the economy, and I'm having a really hard time with unemployment. But it's really cool so far, and I think I was actually about to have another thought, but you know what? I think we have to end this video. Alright, well, yeah, I guess we'll go ahead and end this here. Thank you all very much for watching. Hope you did enjoy. If so, then be sure to hit that like button. Leave a comment and subscribe. Let me know what kind of stuff I ought to be doing better. Try to improve the GDP. You can see it's still on its way out, and a lot of that has to do with the productivity and also the increasing taxes. But if you have any ideas that fit the communist playthrough that you've tried out yourself and you know work to improve the GDP, let me know. I am very eager to hear. I will see you all next time. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.